Peta kebebasan yang tak terbayangkan, berdiri kokoh di bumi Nusantara, bukti setasannya Indonesia. Kita jaga, kita lestarikan.
Halo Pak Waluyo. Pak Waluyo, Pak Marjo. Pak Marjo.
Ya.
Bisa di mute dulu sebentar audionya. Ada audio cek sebentar.
Ya, ini tanda kecil ini.
Berarti ini Pak Marjo diturunkan ya?
Ya udah.
Stop share ya Pak ya?
Ya stop share. Pak Waluyo atau siapa? Namanya Raymond. Oh iya, udah ada di sini.
Iya.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning for Pak Raymond. Mr. Raymond, can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can. How are you doing? Pleasure to meet you. Are you Eddie?
Yes, exactly.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for coming and checking the audio. Your sounds good. We are going to start our special talk within 30 minutes from now. My best regard to Dr. Lidya Brown. Thank you for coming with us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. You may leave or put the camera off, or it's okay. Thank you for coming and do the checking. Thank you.
All right, I will disconnect. I'll
Sure.
turn the cameras off, but I'll stay online. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay. I think it's better to stay, put the camera off because we are going to start in nearly 30 minutes, and Dr. Lidya Brown will coming with us at the right time. It will be started. Thank you.
Right. So sorry, you said you want me to turn camera off?
Yes. Right.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Okay, sounds good. Pak Marjo, you can share the audio.
Belum di-share Pak Marjo yang
ya?
Belum di-share, tapi suaranya ada.
Oh ya udah.
Ya.
Thank you.
Selamat menonton diri sendiri. Good morning, everyone in Indonesia, and good afternoon for my dear fellows, my dear friend, Dr. Lidya Brown, who are now sitting with us from Melbourne, Australia. Good morning, Dr. Lidya Brown. You're muted.
Good morning, and it's lovely to be here with you all today.
Thank you for coming with us. And before we start, let me review a little bit who is our guest speaker today, because we are so delighted, we are so happy to have you here all together with our academic fellows and participant joining with us from Zoom realms. And also we get this connection live stream to YouTube, and it will be stays in our official YouTube channel to be viewed by other participants who missed this events. On behalf of Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten, Dr. Lidya Brown, we would like to deliver our highest appreciation and also our gratitude to have you here as a guest speaker in our Sriwijaya Academic Circle Community Series entitled Self-Compassion and Wellbeing During Remote Teaching and Learning Amidst COVID-19 Outbreaks. Our situation in Indonesia currently is getting worse due to the outbreaks of the virus. Everything locked out, schools closures, public restrictions are imposed everywhere. So we are now fighting to get back to our normal lives. So we do hope that in Australia, in Melbourne especially, the situation is getting better and we can pass this through. So ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellows, Dr. Lidya Brown is a scientist and scholars in the field of psychological sciences and become a research fellows in Melbourne, University of Melbourne, Australia. She's also a clinical psychologist in Northeastern Rehabilitation Center, Health Scope Hospitals. She's also working as a private practitioner in clinical psychologist in Brunswick, VIC, and currently become adjunct lecturers and professors in academic and research collaborative in Health La Trobe University, still in Australia. And from January 2021 until present, she's also an international advisory board members of Handscape Incorporation. But I know more about Dr. Lidya Brown from our connection in SACC International. And a while ago, I also become one of the speakers featuring Dr. Lidya Brown to talk in the webinar. So I know more about Dr. Lidya Brown from Buddhist perspective. So because we are coming from Buddhist institution, Sriwijaya is one of the state-based under Ministry of Religious Affairs in Indonesia that operate a higher education institution for preparing teachers, psychology practitioners, business management, and also education sector that serve in Indonesia. So we will know more each other, and we hope that Dr. Lidya Brown will contribute with us more, not just today, because it's very limited hours for her and for us. So for the next on, we are going to keep in touch with her. So without any further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Lidya Brown to present the materials entitled Self-Compassion and Wellbeing During Remote Teaching and Learning Amid COVID-19 Outbreak. Time is yours, Doctor.
Thank you very much, and I am delighted to be here with you all today. Here in Australia, on our news, we've heard about the situation in Indonesia, and Indonesia is our closest neighbour. So really, we're family, and to hear about the COVID situation. You know, my heart very much goes out to all of you. It's such a difficult time, and we're all, I think, not just me, but also my family, my friends here in Australia, we're all thinking about you at this time, you know, with the challenges of COVID. So because of this, I'm even all the more honoured to be here speaking with you today. So I have some PowerPoint slides. I wonder if I can share my screen. I wonder if that will work. I think maybe.
Yes, it's starting to share right now.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yes. We can see it.
Okay. So today I'll talk a bit about my research and my work as a psychologist, about how we can build well-being during this difficult time. I'm also a Buddhist, so I'll talk about Buddhist ideas. My research is very connected to Buddhism. The two go together. So I will talk about the connection between my work as a psychologist and my Buddhist practice, because the two for me go together. But one thing I think is very important before I start is my expertise is as a psychologist. But at this time around the world, and I think especially in Indonesia, you know, we really need medical help. We need governments, we need oxygen supplies, material. And I think these needs are very, very important. So while I'll talk today about my expertise, which is psychology, you know, that's not a solution by itself for the very significant challenges that we're facing at the moment. So, you know, keep that in mind as I talk today. But I will talk about my area, which is psychology. So just to tell you a little about me, and as Edi was saying in the introduction, I work with people. So as a psychologist, people will come to me, you know, and they'll have an hour, we'll sit and talk about their problems. They might have anxiety, they might have a medical condition, they might be sick, they might have lost a family member, and they feel quite upset. And so my job is they'll come to me and we'll talk and we'll explore ways for people to kind of work through their suffering. So that's my job as a psychologist. And I also research happiness. Sometimes we call it positive psychology. So this is about finding ways to build happiness and positive qualities in our mind. And you might already think this is exactly what the Buddha spoke about. You know, when we think about Buddhism, the Buddha spoke about the importance of training our mind towards compassion and wisdom. And so in my research, I'm interested in these ideas from a psychology perspective. So I'll talk a bit about my research today. If you want to see some of my publications, you can look at my Google Scholar link, which is below, and it will have more information about my published research. So that's my role as a psychologist. But also I started, I guess this is when I was maybe 20, I spent a number of months in Sri Lanka in a Buddhist monastery. And I was very inspired by meditation practice and by Buddhism. So you can see in the top photo, there's the monk sitting down wearing the glasses. He lived in Australia for a number of years, and he worked with cancer patients at a hospital, and especially patients who were very sick and who were dying. And he would teach these patients meditation and Buddhist meditation. And he had a very positive impact on our community here in Melbourne, Australia. He was very loved. And when he lived in Australia, I met him. I was only a teenager. I was maybe 15 at the time. And I was very, very inspired and very happy to meet him and learn about Buddhism. So when I finished my first university degree, This teacher, his name is Bante Kasaba, he had moved back to Sri Lanka to return to his monastery. And I went there to learn meditation from him. And I had opportunities to teach the young monks English while I was there. And we also went to the local hospital to teach doctors and nurses about Buddhist meditation and how we can, build happiness in our mind through Buddhist practices. So I even wanted to become a Buddhist nun, actually, when I was young, and I shaved my head at one point. My family didn't understand, because here in Australia we don't have many monastics. We don't have many Buddhist monks and nuns, and my family were very upset. They said, "Oh no, what are you doing? Why are you so interested in Buddhism?" They didn't understand. So I did change my mind. I did not become a Buddhist nun, but since these early days, I've always been very, very passionate about meditation practice and about the wisdom of Buddhism. And so today I try to bring these ideas of Buddhism into my work, helping people as a psychologist and into my research. So that's a little bit about me. As I said, Buddhism and psychology alone, these things can't cure COVID. And I think perhaps we've all been touched by COVID. Perhaps we've been sick ourselves or had a loved one who's been sick or even passed away due to COVID. It's very serious. And this needs medical attention. We need medical researchers to, develop good medicines, all of these things. So, that's important, but that's not my area of expertise. But how can Buddhism understand the COVID pandemic? This is a question I think about sometimes. COVID has been caused so much suffering in many countries, and I think every country in the world now. And what would the Buddha have to say about this? So when I think about that, really I go back to the Four Noble Truths. And if you think about the first noble truth, the truth of suffering, that life is not perfect, that suffering is a part of life. In samsara, in normal life, suffering is part of life. Sickness is part of life. Even death is part of life. And this is what the Buddha spoke about. And so, also there have been pandemics before and in other times in history. So this is not new. We have experienced this type of thing before in history. And I think the Buddha would also say, well, look, life is suffering, and pandemics is a great deal of suffering, but also it happens from time to time. But the good news from a Buddhist perspective is the Buddha didn't stop there. He didn't say, oh, life is suffering, and so we should all be, very depressed and sad. He said, no, there is a path through suffering. There is a way to move beyond suffering. So this is the third and fourth noble truths. So there is a way to relate to or to get through suffering. And so what is the path? And I think probably, as Buddhists, as a Buddhist university, of course, this, the Eightfold Noble Path. This is our pathway out of suffering. And I think many of these factors of the Noble Path are relevant to the COVID pandemic. And I might try to talk about some of them today, or at least relate my research back to some of these factors from the Eightfold Noble Path. Right view. So right view being, well, yes, suffering, pandemics, sickness, death. It's hard to say, but this is part of life. And yes, we need medical research to overcome these things, but also it is a part of life that we have to make sense of. Right view, that suffering is a part of life. And we'll talk about some of these other factors now, about how we can not only understand the pandemic, but also practice self-care and cultivate tranquility in our world. So this quote, I'm actually not sure if this is a quote from the Buddha. I found this on the internet. I know the quote, but I think it's a wonderful quote, and it's definitely in line with the Buddhist idea. If you wish to protect your feet from painful thorns and stones along the path, you cannot cover the entire world with leather, but you can cover your own feet. So this shows that in the world at the moment, with COVID, you know, there's many thorns and stones in the outside world. There are many difficulties that we face in the outside world at the moment. And while we're doing our best to you know, overcome these things, we can't fix it straight away. We can't fix COVID overnight. We can't change the outside world overnight to be peaceful. But what we can do is find a way within ourselves to cultivate mental tranquility and happiness inside of ourselves through our inner qualities, even if in the outside world things are terribly difficult, such as COVID. So I wanted to talk, I'm actually going to change the order. I wanted to actually give an example of how this is possible from some of my research. So I'm actually going to change the order, because some people say, well, how can you be happy if you're facing serious illness? But some of my research, I'm just going to move the slide around, has actually looked at this idea. So I'll just bring this slide up here. Okay. So I'll just go back here. I know this is a very ugly slide, but it just shows that there is science behind this. So somebody might say, well, how can I be happy if I am living in a city where there's so many stresses and people are dying and there's difficulties finding supplies? How can I really be happy? So this is some research I did, one of my postdoctoral fellowships after my PhD at Harvard Medical School in the United States. And I was part of a positive psychology research lab. So all of the research was about building positive qualities like happiness and kindness in our mind, and especially for medical patients. So the study on the left, I don't know if you can see, it's called positive, don't know if I can, oops. I'll go back to it. Here, this is a study where we spoke to patients who were very, very sick with blood cancer. And in fact, a number of these patients died. So it sounds quite sad and serious, but we didn't talk about the negatives with them. So in this research, these patients were suffering a lot. You know, some of them were going to die. So it was quite serious. But we asked them about their positive experiences despite their illness. And so we interviewed patients at 2 time points. And these patients, they said, yes, this is difficult. I'm in physical pain, but it wasn't all negative. These patients spoke to us about feeling hope, feeling more gratitude for their family than they ever have before, even feeling gratitude for life because life felt precious when they knew that they might be about to die. They spoke about determination. They spoke about feeling very strong in their mind to help them cope with their illness. And they spoke about the importance of family and gratitude, just feeling really grateful for family, for their life. So while this study wasn't with COVID patients, I think it relates because these patients were sick, they were facing death potentially. But when we spoke with them and when we looked at the themes coming out of the interviews, they certainly had many positive things to say. So, of course, I'd never wish serious cancer or illness on anybody, but if we have sickness as part of life, which is the first noble truth of suffering, that suffering is a part of life, sickness is a part of life, well, if we accept that first noble truth, this research says, well, we can still find happiness in the very midst of difficulties like serious sickness. So I think this is a very interesting idea. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some other research I've done in the last few months here in Australia, which was with our healthcare workers who were working with COVID patients. So again, I interviewed these doctors and nurses and physiotherapists who were working on COVID wards. So they, were right on the front line, working in the COVID pandemic when we had more cases here in my city of Melbourne, Australia. And I asked them about what helped them cope during such a difficult time, because some of these healthcare workers said, look, I'm scared, I'm worried about getting COVID, I'm very upset to see people suffering. They said it was a very difficult time for them in their work. But I also said, well, yeah, it's difficult, but what helped you during this challenging time? So this research is not yet published. We've written up the paper, but we're just waiting for it to be accepted to be published in a medical journal. But here are some of the things that the healthcare workers said helped them. So first, they said that self-care behaviours helped a lot. So many of the doctors and nurses, they weren't Buddhist. Some were Christian, I think one was a Buddhist. Most didn't have a religion. But many of these healthcare workers said that for them, a practice like meditation or breathing or yoga was very helpful for them to give them back energy after long days working with COVID patients. So they said saw value in meditation. They also spoke about the importance of sleep and trying to have a good night's sleep for their well-being. And they spoke about the importance of exercise, but mostly they told me not big, heavy exercise, running. They spoke more about gentle exercise, like walking or being in nature. They spoke about Tai Chi. So these gentle exercises, many healthcare workers said helped them during the pandemic. They said that giving to others was so heartwarming for them. So as they worked with COVID patients, that was giving to our community, that was giving back to society by helping others and helping people who were sick. And for them, that generosity and kindness for them gave them energy that helped them get through working during the pandemic. The opportunities, being grateful for the opportunity to be kind and to give to others. And they also spoke about just having mental strength, feeling determined. That also helped. So again, if we sort of look back to Buddhism and relate some of these ideas to Buddhist wisdom, I think a couple of these are definitely relevant. So meditation, of course, and I'll talk more about that, during our time today, and giving to others. So the Buddha spoke a lot about the importance of kindness and compassion. And so these qualities that the healthcare workers spoke to me about, I think they relate to Buddhism. So I'll talk a bit about meditation. As a psychologist, in my work, and we tend to call it this mindfulness, which again is one of the factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, right? Mindfulness. But here, because I live in a secular world and Not everybody that I work with is Buddhist. I don't normally talk about Buddhism with my patients or in my research. I don't use Buddhist words, although mindfulness is a Buddhist word. But I usually talk to them about the importance of training the mind to rest in the present moment rather than being distracted by thinking about the future or thinking about the past. So being aware of the present moment right here and now, exactly as it is, without changing anything. So the definition of mindfulness we use in psychology is from John Kabat-Zinn, who introduced, he trained in Buddhism and he introduced mindfulness to the medical world back in the 1980s. And he defines mindfulness as paying attention on purpose to this moment right here and now. So right now, where you are, wherever you are, probably at home or, with the lockdowns, you're I don't know, I guess you're in front of your computer watching this talk. We can just kind of really just let go of the past, of the future, and just really tune into this moment where our life unfolds in this present moment. That's mindfulness. So what a wonderful thing mindfulness is. And I think that paying attention to this present moment is valuable when we're facing difficulties. So, in the pandemic, there's many uncertainties. We can think about tomorrow, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week. And the mind can start to get worried about possibilities and worry about the future. Or we might think about the past and think, oh my gosh, look at all the things I've lost. And, you can just think about all these things. But to let go of thoughts and just return to your body, feel the weight of your body where you're sitting in the chair. You might feel your breath, and really just allowing your mind to be in this moment is such a powerful technique to help you reduce stress. And of course, this is a Buddhist technique, mindfulness. So I don't know how much I need to talk about the research behind mindfulness, but there is now a lot of scientific evidence to show that this mindfulness of being aware in the present moment is helpful for our mental health, and it's helpful for our physical health. There's a lot of research about this. And this is more research. I won't talk too much about it, but this is from research coming out of, I think, Harvard University, written in about 10 years ago. And they measured people's happiness when they were paying attention to the present moment and being mindful. And they also measured happiness when people were thinking about the past or thinking about the future. Thinking about unpleasant or pleasant events. And really this research showed that humans are happier when they are focused on the present moment. It's better to be in the here and now, doing what you're doing in the moment, rather than thinking about other things, thinking about pleasant things, even thinking about something you're looking forward to, thinking about negative things. This research really showed that it's more valuable. You will be happier if you can be present in the moment doing what you're doing. There's so much research to support the use of mindfulness. So during our most recent lockdown here in Melbourne, which was only a few weeks ago, one of our news channels, the ABC, asked me to run a 3-minute meditation for their Facebook and YouTube channels to help Australians during the pandemic. So they recorded a 3-minute video. It's quite simple. But I thought I'd play it, and I thought we could actually do this meditation together because it's just a 3-minute mindfulness meditation. So I'll try playing the video and we can all practice this mindfulness meditation together. So let me try playing the video. Mindfulness meditation is all about training your mind to return to the present moment rather than being lost in thoughts or daydreams about the past or the future, and allowing everything to be exactly as it is right here and now in this moment where our life unfolds. So for any mindfulness practice, it's helpful to take a moment to get into a comfortable posture. And for a 3-minute practice, I recommend a seated posture, and feel a sense of symmetry in your body. You might choose to stretch a little or roll your shoulders just to really start to connect with your body. Now we'll begin the 3-minute breathing space. So in the first minute, just tuning into your experience as it is. Feel free to take a couple of deeper breaths if that's helpful for you. With the out breath, feeling the weight of your body sinking into the chair a little more. Allowing your mind to be exactly as it is. Letting thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. Really just checking in with that self. Now in the second minute, bring your attention in to feel the breath somewhere in your body. You might choose to place your hands on your belly, feeling the abdomen rise and fall. Or if you prefer to feel the breath in the chest or the nostrils, that's fine too. Just feeling that rhythm of breath, coming and going. Now in the third minute, expand your attention to feel the whole body, from the weight of your feet right up to the head. Feeling sensations in the body as a whole. Extending some kindness to the body that works so hard for us every day. Okay. Despite its imperfections, it's doing its best. Noticing how the body is feeling at the end of this 3-minute breathing space. Also notice how you're feeling mentally, if the mind feels the same or any different compared to when we started. And then gradually in your own time, start to stretch. A bit more aware of your outside world. Returning awareness to the world. If your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes to continue with your day. In the 3-minute breathing space, we were brought into the present moment, the moment where life happens. And so now we've reconnected to that present moment. Try to bring some of that presence into the rest of your day, into your work, your family life. It's being connected with your life in the here and now. So that short meditation, I notice I'm wearing the same earrings as I was in the video. So I can see maybe I need to get some new earrings. But a 3-minute meditation, I don't know how that is for you, but just spending 3 minutes, I don't know if people can make a comment in the chat. Oh, yeah, the chat. Feel free to, here we go. I'm just looking at the chat now. Feel free to add a comment in the chat about how that meditation was for you, the 3-minute breathing space. So go ahead and write a comment how you found the meditation, and I'll have a read.
There's a question, some comments come from YouTube, says that why is it 3 minutes? Why it's not 5 or 10 minutes?
That's a very good question.
Okay.
3 minutes. I think when it comes to meditation, more is always better. So if we can do, if we can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour, that's wonderful. I think that 3 minutes also has a benefit though, that it's like brushing your teeth. We find time to brush our teeth every day, and we can find 3 minutes, even if we have a very busy day and we don't have time to meditate. I think everybody has time to do a 3-minute breathing, a 3-minute meditation. So that's why it's very helpful. And we can do it even if we have a busy house, if we have a lot happening in our life, everybody can find 3 minutes to do a short meditation practice. But long meditations are also very good.
Yeah. So Dr. Brown, we have another comments. How to handle COVID-19 in your country, in Australia? Do they, imply Buddhist therapy, or do you prefer meditation, or are there any other therapies? And the other one is written in Bahasa Indonesia, so I will translate later on. So you may respond to the first one.
Yeah, I think here in Australia, people have become very, very interested in meditation since the beginning of the pandemic. And that's because opportunities to do other activities like go to the movies or go on holiday or, go shopping, all these other external activities can be difficult during a lockdown. And you just have to stay at home and there's nothing to do. And so people have thought, well, okay, I can't go shopping, so how can I take care of my happiness? How can I take care of my mind? And so here in Australia, I've found there's been a very big increase in interest in meditation to help people cope during the pandemic and to help them reduce stress. So here, though, we don't always call it Buddhist. I hope that doesn't mean that we're, stealing Buddhist ideas, because I think meditation can benefit Buddhists, but it can also benefit people of all religions and people who have no religion. I think that, these meditation practices taught by the Buddha actually are relevant to all of humanity, regardless of your beliefs.
Thank you. And next comments or questions is dealing with how to cultivate, positive quality in our mind during restrictions, because to build well-being we need to go somewhere else, like what you mentioned a while ago, going traveling, holidays, spending time with friends. But now we're locked down at home. We are not allowed to go out. So how we build that well-being terms in psychological perspective?
Yeah. So I think that's such a good point. And, one aspect can be to turn our attention inwards. So rather than finding happiness in the world outside, it's to use these opportunities to practice meditation. But I think another really important idea for well-being, and I probably have a slide about this later, is the importance of staying connected to others. So as psychologists, we know that feeling connected to other people and communicating with others, family, friends, even people we don't know very well, but being connected to other people is so very important for well-being. And COVID has made that difficult because we can't always be connected to our friends. We can't always be connected to our family if they live in a different household from us. So I think, and something I speak with my clients about here during our lockdowns as well, is we have to be creative and start to think about new ways to connect with our family, with our friends, with our colleagues. So, for example, this wonderful Zoom experience today, it wasn't just a Zoom call, but there was a wonderful cultural music presentation at the beginning. For me, I felt a real sense of community here today, being with you all online. And this is one way that we can connect, using technology. And so we have to start being creative. How can I reach out to other people? Perhaps it's sending a Facebook message to a friend, or perhaps it is picking up your phone and giving somebody a call just to check in with how they're going. Many people are really struggling during the pandemic. Many people really have a lot of sadness, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And so I think that it's our responsibility as Buddhists and as humans to find ways to be kind to other people. So practicing kindness to others, I think, is very, very important to help others, but also to help ourselves and to help us feel connected at this time.
Thank you, Doctor. And I forgot to mention the one who asked the question should be mentioned the name, like, oh, the one come from Pak Anwar Aman and Deva. Now it come from Pak Rahmat. Pandemic, I don't know how long it will be end, and it forced us as a scholars, students shifted our study habit from conventional to digital one. It giving us much benefit to keep studying, like using digital platforms and so on and so forth. But the question is how, but some students may feel exhausted at home with their mental during pandemic. And how is this, the question, how we should do to cope with the situation? I mean, in the student perspective.
Oh, that's a very good question. Wow. How wonderful that we have Zoom and these online platforms, but when we use them every single day and we're at home every day in the same room, it can be very exhausting. I understand. I agree. The same thing all the time. So much Zoom can start to be quite exhausting. So how do we cope? I think, are you allowed? I don't know in Indonesia, is it possible to go outside, for a walk or to get outside to have any time in nature at the moment? Is that possible?
Yes, it's still possible, but it's only local. I mean, their own environment. We're not allowed to go past other provinces like cities travel or something like that because it's restricted.
Yeah.
But we can still go.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to find parts of the natural world. So to go outside, if it's safe to, and look at trees or see the blue sky, go for a walk even around the block. But it's really important to get out of the house every day, at least once, ideally more than once, to change your environment. Because when we're at home in the same room for too long, what I know from my work as a psychologist is that we can start to get quite depressed and we can start to feel quite down and quite sad. So it's very important to get out of the house and to spend some time in nature whilst also being safe. Local is fine, we can see nature everywhere. And so I think that's really important. And you can even find a particular time of day to go outside. So perhaps at the very end of your classes, you can make a habit. So every day at the end of class, that's your time to maybe start by doing a 3-minute meditation like the one which you can find on the internet that I played you. And so 3-minute meditation, and then go outside and have a walk. And then maybe come back and have a nice drink of, your favorite tea, or but finding small ways to give you back energy is very important.
Thank you. That was very enlightening responses from Dr. Lidya Brown. I don't know, you still have another to say, or it's
Yeah, I've still got more slides that I can keep talking. How long do we have? So we've got
we still have 20 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Keep going.
So we can do more questions, and I can also I can continue with my slides. So what would you prefer? Either way is fine by me.
Yeah, keep going the slides first. We are collecting some questions from YouTube.
Sure. Great. So feel free to keep posting some questions, and we'll continue with a few of the slides as well. All right, I'll go back to my Zoom.
Okay.
Oops, there we go. Okay, so actually this was the title of the talk, right? Was self-compassion. And the reason I have this word as the title is because most of my research has been on self-compassion. And self-compassion is about finding ways to be kind towards yourself. So often we think about being kind to other people. We think, well, how can I be nice to, my friend or my mum or my dad? How can I be a good person to others? Self-compassion asks, how can I be kind to myself, especially when I'm having a difficult time? So the definition is written up there on the slide. A healthy way of relating to yourself when you're facing a difficulty, or being kind to yourself when you're facing a difficulty. This is self-compassion. So during the COVID pandemic, we have a lot of stress. And so self-compassion becomes so important to be kind to ourselves because we're going through so much difficulty. So what is self-compassion? It has 3 ingredients. So I don't know what else has 3 ingredients. Maybe if you make bread, it's got flour, water, and salt. 3 ingredients. For self-compassion, there are 3 ingredients. So the first one is mindfulness, and we spoke about that before, paying attention to the present moment. The next one is being kind to yourself. So one way to think about self-kindness is, remote teaching and learning can be exhausting sometimes because I have to be on Zoom so much. So how can I be kind to myself? What will help me? And then, as I said before, maybe at the end of each day, I can be kind to myself by making sure that I go for a walk outside and spending time with nature. That's one way I can be kind to myself. Or how can I be kind to myself? I will make sure to practice 5 minutes of Buddhist meditation each day because I know that helps my mind to calm down. So self-kindness, thinking about how can I be kind to myself? And then the last ingredient of self-compassion is common humanity. And I think during COVID, we've really realized that the human condition, we're all the same and we're all connected and we're all going through challenges at this time, with the COVID pandemic. And so common humanity. So rather than thinking about just me, I'm suffering, I'm alone, this is too hard for me, common humanity says, wow, I'm going through so much, but I'm not alone. Other people in my city, in my country, in my continent, in the world are going through similar things. I'm not alone. And this is common humanity, feeling connected to other people rather than feeling isolated and alone. So in terms of common humanity, I think there's a really beautiful practice. Is it common humanity? It's sort of general self-compassion we might just do a very short practice on self-compassion to just give you an idea through a 1-minute meditation. So for this practice, I might see if I can stop sharing my screen so we can see each other's faces, but then I'll share my screen again. So let me try stopping sharing. And then if you go to gallery view, okay, now we can see each other, right? Wow, that's great. It's lovely to see people. And you can feel free to turn your video on if you'd like as well.
130 participants joined.
Wow.
So you're famous now in Indonesia.
That's amazing. That's so many people, right?
Yes.
So here we'll do a meditation about feeling connected and common humanity. Oh, there we go. Some videos. That's wonderful. Feel free. You're welcome to turn your video on if you'd like. Okay, we'll do a 1-minute meditation. So if you'd like to just feel the weight of your body. So if you're sitting, just feel where you're sitting in the chair. There's a heavy feeling. And you might like to just roll your shoulders. Often our shoulders carry some tension and some stress. So just do a little bit of a stretch to help you relax your body. And take a couple of deeper breaths. So filling the lungs with air and taking a big breath out. You can close your eyes if you'd like, or you can keep them open. So take 1 or 2 more deeper breaths. When you breathe out, feel the weight of your body in the chair, letting go of tension in your body. And you can let the breathing be natural, just coming and going, or you can continue with deep breaths, whatever feels comfortable to you. But now when you breathe in, just imagine the self-kindness. We're going through a difficult time in this world. May I be kind to myself. And as you breathe out, just share the kindness with those on this Zoom call, your colleagues. We're all going through a challenging time right now. Sharing our kindness with others, with those on the Zoom call right now. When you breathe out. So as you breathe in, we have self-kindness. And as you breathe out, offering your compassion and kindness to others. You're not alone. Common humanity. We'll do one last breath as you breathe in, kindness towards yourself. And as you breathe out, kindness towards others. Okay, and then you can just bring your attention back to the room, to where you're sitting, to finish that short self-compassion practice. Kindness to self, and then common humanity, kindness to others, feeling connected to others. It's a lovely, short self-compassion practice.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. We have one straightforward questions. What is the difference between meditation and mindfulness? Is it correlated?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So mindfulness, at least from my field of psychology, when we talk about mindfulness, we can be mindful at any time. We don't have to be meditating to be mindful. So right now, I'm talking about mindfulness, so I'm quite aware of what I'm doing. I'm right here in the moment. I can feel my body. I'm very present right now, but I'm not meditating. You might be having a shower and just feeling the water coming over your body, and you feel that experience. That is a moment of mindfulness, but you might not be meditating. So mindfulness can happen during meditation, when we bring mindfulness to an object, such as mindfulness of the breath. But mindfulness can also happen anytime. Meditation, sometimes we call that formal mindfulness practice, but that's when we, sit down, or normally sit down or lie down, sit down and formally practice a meditation, such as mindfulness. There are other types of meditation as well. I hope does that make sense?
Yes, they say yes.
Mm-hmm.
One question that popping up in my mind is that every people like us today, as a scholar, as a students, or as household members of the family, how can we connect the principles of meditative training into our daily activities? Maybe not everybody likes to sitting down on the meditation, closing their eyes and stay down, but they keep moving. How do we connect those activities to the meditative trainings?
That's a very good question. Sometimes I think about the Eightfold Noble Path, and, one of the factors of the Eightfold Noble Path of Buddhism is right mindfulness, and we can maybe develop that during meditation. But if we only practice right mindfulness, I don't think we ever really follow the Buddha's teachings. There are other factors that we also have to develop. And so maybe we can practice things like right speech, when we're communicating with our family, with colleagues. Actually, it's difficult for me. I can be rude sometimes when I feel stressed. I find right speech difficult, especially to people close to me, because, if you feel a bit stressed, you can be rude to your family, at least I can. And so sometimes we can practice these other parts of Buddhism in our life to improve the quality of our relationships and to improve the quality of our life.
Thank you. That's really makes sense. As I promised before, that Dr. Lidya Brown has a very limited time, and we are really appreciate for her to be able to present today, and not only showing us what we call the scientific background, but also directly to the practice, a little practice, but it's really works for us in this current situations, fighting with the outbreaks of the COVID-19. So Dr. Lidya Brown, I highlighted 3 important keywords: passions, gratitude to ourselves, and acceptance to the situations. Final question is that how those 3 positive quality in minds need to be sustained. How we can sustain to be patient, to be grateful, and to be accepted.
That's such a hard question.
Because these 3 keywords are very important to all of us right here.
Yeah. Acceptance, gratitude, and passion, did you say?
Yes, passions.
Yeah. Acceptance, gratitude, and passion. So these are such important qualities that we've spoken about today, and yet to put them into practice is difficult, right? Maybe it's not difficult though. Maybe it's actually quite easy. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to be really smart to accept the situation. But it's easy to forget. So I don't know, maybe you could actually have a piece of paper and write down those 3 words, or write down whatever word you want to remember. But I like those: gratitude, passion, acceptance. Write them on a piece of paper and actually have it right near your computer. And so you're looking at Zoom, but you can also actually see these 3 words and remember them and think, yes, it's hard to accept, but I'm going to remember that that's helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. So we do hope that our connections is not end today with Dr. Lidya Brown. Hopefully after pandemic ends, we will invite directly Dr. Lidya Brown to come to Indonesia. And for your news, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lidya Brown has just, delivered a newborn baby, a cute newborn baby. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And this is my first commitment, my first commitment. My baby's only 1 month old today. Wow. And so I'm still learning. It's just my first child, so I'm still learning how to be a parent. So I'm delighted to be here today, especially for personal reasons, because it's my first thing I've done since the birth of my baby. And so delighted to be here to share it with you all.
Right. So on behalf of academic fellows of Sriwijaya State Buddhist University campus in Indonesia, and all of the participants attended today in our Zoom venue meeting platforms, and everybody who are now viewing us on live stream on YouTube, would like to say congratulations and hope Kidia, I forgot the name, Kidia, Kidia will grow up as a faithful and also good girl in the future.
Thank you very much.
Right, now we come to the session of end. Dr. Lidya Brown, would you please give us a final remarks and to end up or give a final comments on your presentation? Thank you.
Yeah, look, I think that those 3 words really summarize it. If you can take anything away from today, to remember, what would the Buddha have to say about this pandemic? He would say, yes, this is part of life, and that helps us accept. That helps us accept what's happening. And passion, well, I think we can feel passionate about meditation, passionate about the Buddha's teachings at a time like this, because, wow, we can't go shopping, we can't go to the movies, we can't live a normal life, but we can still practice Buddhism. And so that's an opportunity to feel passionate and also grateful that we have access to these teachings. We have access to the knowledge and the wisdom of how to train our mind even during a difficult time like a pandemic.
Okay, that was a very powerful closing from our guest speaker today. And for the last session, I would like to invite the host to give appreciation by opening the whole mics and say cheers to our outstanding speakers, Dr. Lidya Brown from Australia. Silakan Pak Waluyo. Pak Waluyo?
Yeah.
Okay,
sir.
You can say in Bahasa Indonesia,
so
everybody can understand your instructions.
Oke, kita punya 6 slide ya. Kita foto bersama terlebih dahulu. Mohon buka kamera.
We have 6 slides, and would you please turn on your camera so we can put this one on documentation. Okay, give your best shot of smiles while practicing mindfulness and enjoy the present moments like what Dr. Brown says a while ago.
Baik, yang pertama sudah.
First slide's over. Next, the second slide. sorry to keep you waiting because we have 131 participants in the Zoom platform. It's very exciting.
Yang ketiga,
The third slide. And now the fourth one. Now the fifth.
ya,
And the last one.
ya sudah selesai.
Is it done? Okay, thank you, Pak Waluyo, for taking us in the air. Dr. Lidya Brown, would you please do not close your door when we knock once again to, collaborate to make our campus higher and better in the futures in whatever sort of the collaboration that we are going to do in the futures, like, doing research together, writing together. Maybe we can have a workshop to develop more about the practice of the psychological perspective and anything else that can help us to grow up together. So can you do that, Dr. Brown?
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I need to talk in Bahasa Indonesia to have a closed statement. Bapak Ibu yang menginginkan untuk mendapatkan e-sertifikat, karena ini by request, jadi Bapak Ibu dipersilakan untuk mengisi link evaluasi yang ada di chat box ini. Karena pastikan untuk menulis alamat email dengan benar dan juga nama dengan benar. Boleh dengan gelar, boleh dengan nama saja, silakan ditulis sesuai dengan keinginan yang Anda dapatkan. Dan untuk info berikutnya adalah kita masih memiliki special talk dan special lecture dari berbagai macam scholars dan juga para tokoh dunia di bidang akademik dan lain sejenisnya. Maka jangan lewati pengumuman dan juga informasi dari Sriwijaya Academic Circle Community dan media kampus STABN Sriwijaya. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Lidya Brown, for your kindness and your generosity during this hard situation and your busy time taking care of the baby, newborn baby. We know it's very hard for you, but you still have chance to share with us, to give us donation, to give us share on how to stay positive and cultivate mental tranquility amidst COVID-19 outbreaks in Indonesia. We do hope that in the near future, the COVID-19 will be gone very soon and we can meet each other again physically and we can build another social connection more engaged than before. So thank you very much. Pak Waluyo, please open all the mic and we will give a virtual applause for our guest speaker, Dr. Lidya Brown.
Yes. Thank you.
Virtual applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lidya Brown.
Thank you.
Everybody can say thank you, goodbye. You can open your mic. You can say something to our guest speaker before we close the Zoom within 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Lovely to meet you.